Right, viewers, welcome again to your program, right on here, Yoruba Referendum. First of all, we want to welcome you to the new month of February 2026. Already we finished with January, right on to February now, and it's our prayers that February 2026 will be a month of blessings for all of us. Amen. Back to our program here, we still have Alagbafemi or Dedeyi right on the program, and I will just allow him just about 1 2 seconds to say hi to you. Over to you, Alagbafemi or Dedeyi.
Yeah, hello and happy new month to everybody. And like Alagbayerokun says, that February will bring more blessings and grace to all of us, both listeners and our friends, our families, and everyone. And we appreciate your continued interest in what we are doing, and we hope your interest will continue to be expected. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, sir. So people out there, we are right back to where we stopped last week. The topic is federalism, the journey so far. And last week, Alagbafemi Odedidi was able to help us to know how we ended up with true federalism. Obviously, we know federalism is the general word, but it has to be qualified because of the type of federalism that was being offered to us in Nigeria over the years, both by the civilian government and also by the federal. One key point that was mentioned last week was the autonomy of the local government structure. From what Alagbafemi Odedidi mentioned last week, in a proper federal establishment, it should be the center and the federating units. And it also made the point that it's actually the federating units that should create the center and not the center creating the federation unit. So I want us to keep that one on our left. And just like they used to say, we used to say in Yoruba land, so that you won't hit with it. At times we used to think that, okay, what about people that are using that are left-handed?
You will keep it on the right. You will keep it on the right hand.
Yeah, but we got the what people they were trying to talk about, that we need to put those things at the back of our mind.
Yes.
And today we'll continue on where we stopped last week. And when we were finishing or ending up last week's program, we were really talking about how do we bring Yoruba referendum narrative into the political sphere. And I remember vividly that Alagbafemi Odedidi was talking about when our politicians or our representatives comes around to campaign as usual, that we should not accept those Congo of rice just for it, or 5,000 or recharge card. We've got to a point where we need to make demands. If they are our representatives, we should be able to tell them what we want. And he suggested or proposed that Yoruba referendum should be one of the requests that we should place before them when they come around. So we'll kick off from that. Alagbafemi Odedidi.
Yes.
I want to start today with this question. In the political history of Nigeria, has there been any time that a particular nationality had a political manifesto that was not solely based on the political party, but the aspiration of that particular nationality?
I will say yes and no. Yes, in the sense that when Egbe Omo Oduduwa was formed in 1945 in London and in 1947 in Lagos, one of their major demands was the question of federalism in Nigeria along ethno-national lines. That's the yes part of it. The no part of it is that Egbe Omo Oduduwa was not a political party. Right. Actually, yes. So the action group was formed mainly by many members of the Egbe Omo Oduduwa were also members of the action group. I mean, Chief Awolowo was the secretary of the president of the Egbe and secretary of action group, or president of action group or secretary of the Egbe. Now, so the demands of the Egbe Omo Oduduwa were also incorporated into the demands of the action group. But because the action group was not a Yoruba party as such, although it was mainly, it was majority Yoruba, and then also focused on the Western region. And at that time, Western region was not a Yoruba region. We had Edo, we had Yoruba, we had all the, the parts that later became the Midwest, now known as Edo and Delta states. So Egbe Omo Oduduwa was very specific in terms of what it wants as a federal system for Nigeria. Now, the Egbe could not become a political party at that time, not because it couldn't, but certain things, because Chief Awolowo actually gave 4 reasons why he thought Egbe Omo Oduduwa could not be the political party that was necessary at the time of the 1951 elections. And one of them was because Egbe was strictly a Yoruba organization. That is number one. And then there are some tendencies within the Egbe Omo Oduduwa that actually don't, run counter to the majority view. Actually, some of them in the Egbe actually contested elections on the basis of Egbe Omo Oduduwa at that time. So that will be the answer to the question. That's why I said yes and no, because the Egbe was very specific as to what it wants, which is federalism, ethno-national federalism, and that it will collaborate. And it's in its constitution. It will collaborate, that is, the Egbe will collaborate with other groups in Nigeria that share the same ideals to arrive at a federal state for Nigeria.
Okay, thank you very much for that. Would you then say that in terms of a nationality within Nigeria,
yes,
making demands like for Yoruba referendum, that we were at a better place then than now for a political party to move this Yoruba, as an example, to move this Yoruba referendum, to put it right on their platform as part of their campaign for the party? I'm not talking about individual politician now, but for a political party.
Yeah, we were in a better state at that time, but the difference is actually very small. It's not a big thing. Now we don't even have regional parties now. At that time, there was an Ibadan party. I'm not picking on Ibadan. I'm just using it as an example. There were, Ondo Improvement Party, all the rest of but now we don't even have such. But why I said the difference is very small, very narrow, is that nothing stops the individuals in the political parties of today who believe in true federalism or in federalism to make it an important part of their manifesto or activity. Actually, the original APC manifesto in 2015 had a section that says the APC will pursue restructuring of Nigeria federalism, and they actually established a committee for that purpose. So there's nothing wrong, there's nothing stopping them in whichever party they belong to, especially if they are the dominant section in that party, to make the question of federalism a topical issue in their party manifesto and whatever the party wants to do. What they can just do is instead of Chief Wole Olanipekun, who is a senior advocate of Nigeria, former president of the National Bar Association, even put it succinctly. We are saying because we are Yoruba, Yoruba referendum, because we have the houses of assembly in Yoruba land. He even went further to say that we need an autonomous constitution. What does that mean? It means the people, that is the indigenous people living in that place, should be the ones to drive that referendum, to set the parameters for it, to state what they want, to do all kinds of stuff like that. So that has already taken care of any national party that is interested in pursuing federalism to say, okay, yes, we will do this. The APC, and let's talk about APC because that is where we know most of them are. I mean, right from their pedigree, from the president to all the governors, everybody was, from the West. So nothing stops the APC from saying, okay, we embrace autochthonous constitution. Let the indigenous peoples in all the places, let them have. So by the time they do that, then the Yoruba will be able to do their own. The Yoruba, Igala, everybody will be able to do what they want to do. So that's why I said there is not much difference. The major obstacle is in those that claim to, I use the word advisedly, I'm not insulting them, but they say they are federalists, but they are not even moving in that direction. So it is not the political party formation that is the problem. It is those people who claim to be federalists and who are in those political parties who are not moving in the right direction. The example was that local government stuff we talked about. There is no basis at all for a federal government to be paying local government accounts directly to local government. There is no basis. Even the Supreme Court thing they are using, the same Supreme Court said it can't be done in another section, while one section says it can be done. So it's they are the problem. And that is why we are saying we should be able to challenge them with our own demands, because this thing has nothing to do with whether you have one national party or you don't have any national party, because your membership also cut across many nationalities. So, and then, this whole idea that we can achieve federalism piecemeal, that, okay, let us start from here. If we have development commission, okay, now the next thing, let us construct rules all over the country. Then the next thing, let us be paying local government indirectly. Then the next thing, let us have forest rangers and all the rest of it. So that the accumulation of all those things is what they will now define as federalism, and it is not.
It's funny.
Yeah.
Sure. Okay, thank you very much for that. One of the other questions, I believe that has been answered in some of the previous broadcasts. Probably that might be maybe about beginning of last year or thereabout. But for the benefit of those people that are just joining or that will be viewing this program for the first time, I want us to look at some of the people that have proposed that for a referendum to work in Nigeria, that it has to involve all the ethnic nationalities in Nigeria. I believe that in history, the Western region had its own sort of government before the others. So I don't know. If you can help us to expand that area for the people that are bringing this proposal or who believed that just one ethnic nationality cannot go alone or push on except the other ethnic nationality joins the wagon. If you can help us to use that as an example, and you could also connect that with the referendum of, I think, 1963.
Yeah, it's a straightforward thing. Under colonial rule, the Western region obtained the self-government before the others did. Well, they will say, okay, yeah, that was colonial rule, so each region was able to negotiate whatever it could at that time with the colonial. Now, we now have a Nigerian government, and so the argument that you mentioned will now come up. But at the same time, because Nigeria is a multinational entity, we are a multinational country. We have different nationalities in the country. Some will say 300, some will say 389, all kinds of stuff. That means we don't have the same problems.
Exactly.
That is, because if we have the same problems, we won't be 300. So we don't have we don't have the same problems. So each one of us should be able to say, okay, we have this problem and this is how we want to resolve it. Now, others will also have their own problems. They should also say this is how they want to resolve it. Now, where this Yoruba referendum and the others now come in is in that, okay, we Yoruba say this is the way we want to solve our problem. And it's a legal, legitimate, and valid way that is even democratic. So that alone is not, the problem is not that the Yoruba want to go do it alone. The problem is, what are the mechanisms others are using to try to resolve their problems? So we Yoruba, just like Akeredolu has the Yoruba nation the last time, where did the Yoruba say we want to go anywhere? So yeah, the Yoruba are saying, okay, we have a problem in Nigeria, or there's a problem in Nigeria that is affecting us negatively, and our solution is federalism, and this is how we want to achieve that federalism, by the Yoruba people voting and all that and all that. Now, if the Igbo now say they have a problem, which they do, they should also be able to say, just like they do also, that this is how they want to resolve it. Some of them are saying they want to leave patapata. Some of them are saying, no, we need to be integrated back and all that. Okay, so the thing that connects them, that is the Yoruba and the Igbo, is not whether the Yoruba is talking about Yoruba referendum, it's the mechanism we are employing. We are saying, let us decide by referendum, whatever it is we want to decide. And nothing stops the Igbo from saying, let us decide whatever we want to decide by referendum. So the referendum is what I would call the connecting thread. I'm just using the Igbo as an example because, it's the easiest one to use. So when they now bring up this idea that, all of us, all the nationalities should be able to do it at the same time. No, the only thing that is required is the democratic, legitimate, and valid way, which is what the referendum is all about. How it is done in Yoruba land will be different from how it is done in Igbo land or in Tiv land, for example. That's why, unfortunately, I don't have the quotes here, to read it out. What Olanipekun said. that it is the federating units, the autochthonous people, that will determine the content, the parameters, everything, whatever it is they want. They are the ones to make that determination. So we can't say, okay, there's a problem in Nigeria, problem of federalism, until everyone now agrees that this is the way we should go. That no, it's not done that way. Then there's something the scientists, the academics, they call catalyst, something that will initiate something else, that will create some. So any nationality can be the catalyst. We are saying this because we are Yoruba and we are appealing to our Yoruba people. So nothing stops any other nationality from making the same discussion among themselves. They don't have to wait for us, just like we didn't have to wait for them. So, and if we keep on doing that, we are not also operating in a vacuum. That is, as we are talking now, preparations for elections are going. So if we say, okay, let us wait until everybody agrees, they will now do the election. By the time they do the election, another problem will arise. So little by little, they will be pushing the referendum to the background. So that's why that argument is not you go wash. Sorry to use the Yoruba.
So basically, the Western region was able to get self-government
yes.
before others.
Yes.
And also in 1963, there was a plebiscite for the Midwest. Yes. And that was done purely or solely with those of the Midwest, without the others. There might be the possibility of even some other ethnic nationality around that time also seeking for something like that. But I think the one that is with the Midwest was the one that was quite very potent then, and which was conducted. So, and that's just to let our people know that everybody or every ethnic nationality, that there's no need for them. Not that there's no need, but it doesn't mean until they come on board that this will be possible. And we've taken example from our history. Now let's move on, because I think the targets from what you discussed last week was that we need to bring this referendum to, there should be a sort of a manifesto by the Yoruba, for an example, because we are talking about the Yoruba referendum now, and which you've clearly stated that other ethnic nationality could adopt what is being done now. I mean, they could adopt it and add whatever they want to add to it, or remove whatever they want to remove. So, so we are basing the question that I want to ask now on Yoruba referendum, getting into the Yoruba political manifesto. My first question is this: can the people bring up a manifesto without the manifesto coming from a political party?
Yes, it can. Actually, we, the Yoruba Referendum Committee, we are thinking of preparing such a manifesto. A manifesto can come from anywhere. Now, the question now is, what is the vehicle to actualize that manifesto? We now say a political party. So if we come up with what we call a Yoruba manifesto now, and we have APC, PDP, and ADC, Accord, and all the rest of them going about, So that is what we now present to them. This is our, so when they come with their sachets or bag of rice or whatever, we will now give them the manifesto. Now, last week we were saying they should make a public declaration about it. So when we have it and they have it in hand, Then when they come to seek for their votes, they say, okay, bring your rice, take our manifesto. Or go with your rice, but take our manifesto, whichever one that works. But we have something that they will now have to consider and take into consideration. So if they can't make a public declaration about it, even if we present it to them, if they can't make a public, then we know that they have failed. They can't do, they don't represent us, because we are saying this is what we want. And if you want to represent us, you should be able to say, I will promote what you want. Yes, so that when you get elected, you won't get there and start talking grammar, as they used to say in Nigeria. So that is the import. So anyone on behalf of any nationality or any people, or even a class of people, can come up with a manifesto. Teachers can come up with a manifesto on education. Other classes of people, they can call, health, they can come up with this is how we want to run this educational system. This is how we want. Linguists can come up with a manifesto on using mother tongue education for mother tongue language for educational purposes. Instead of French, they are using French now, or whatever they call it. And studies have shown you produce a better citizenship when you educate them in their own languages. So all these things can be done. It depends on whether there is any vehicle that we have. Fortunately for us, we have a committee that is talking about it. So it is incumbent upon us to draft that manifesto and circulate it among as many people as we want, so that they will have something to hold. So if the party comes with their manifesto, we give them our own. They will have to go back and rework their manifesto, because they can't deny us, because if they come with theirs without putting our own issues into theirs, and we now present it to them, they have to rework theirs to accommodate what we want. So whether it is for nationality's sake, or for a particular class, or for a particular group of people, so all these things, that is why when they say we are going to set aside a certain percentage for this and that, for women, for Kinikon, for Igba. So all those things, we can do it, and we should be able to do it.
Okay, that's great. And I believe that our people are hearing that now, that we don't have to solely depend on what our representatives, I think that's what they call them. They are our reps, our representatives. So we should actually be telling them what we want them to take forward as representing us. I know that when you started the campaign, online campaign for Yoruba referendum, there's, I believe the number is about 11,000 or so now. Roughly, that have signed, and which I believe that those supporters will be available to help with distribution. What other channels, apart from those that have signed on, what other channels have you been thinking about to deploy this manifesto when it's eventually come out?
Oh, well, we intend to, we at one point we were publishing some newsletters. Although the distribution was limited, we were publishing newsletters and distributing it in Ibadan and some other places. So we can also consider that, publish it as a newsletter, as a leaflet, and distribute it in all the major towns and cities. Probably distribute it through vendors, newspaper vendors and stuff like that, or volunteers. Have volunteers to assist in distributing it in the local environments. So as the plans are going on, we will see how everything works out. But that is the plan. that we are going to publish that Yoruba manifesto that will incorporate the Yoruba referendum and what the Yoruba people want, and then circulate it as widely as possible, both online and in print locally in Yoruba land up to Kwara State, the Yoruba sections of Kwara State.
Section of Kwara State. Thank you very much, Alagbafemi or Dedeyi. Coming back to the manifesto itself, the question that came up is that, is this solely going to be Yoruba referendum in the manifesto?
Yes, it will be, because it's going to be a Yoruba manifesto. The Yoruba referendum will be the major focus. But we will also make the case that because we are addressing Yoruba people, that is why we call it Yoruba Manifesto. Nothing stops any other nationality from doing the same thing. The Yoruba say, sorry, sorry, can you help me out? Something along that line. Sorry, my Yoruba. So we can't, although we can say we know what the Nigerian problematic is, but we are not going to assume initial responsibility for other nationalities. We believe they have enough people among themselves that can also do what we are doing for their own people. So what we are doing is like a template. Like I said earlier, we have over 300 nationalities, so 300 problems minimum. So each one will now tailor the referendum according to it. Like we said, we are lucky in Yoruba because we have the contiguous state houses of assembly and all that and all that. Not every nationality has that advantage. So we can't tell them to do what we are doing. They will have to tailor whatever it is to their own particular circumstances. So we will make the case for them, but this is essentially for Yoruba people.
Thank you very much. And I want to shift a little bit, and this has to really do with funding, because I know most times it's a sort of a topic that we we tend to push a little bit aside.
Yes.
But if something is being done that is for the good of the people, in this case, the Yoruba first, and I strongly believe that just the way that Yoruba had self-government and then others jumped in, that if Yoruba is able to break through, most likely it will be beneficial to others. And you're always saying that even if this happens to go through, it will also benefit other African nations. Yes. However, I'm not going to let you answer that question today. We'll push that to next week, which has to do with the funding and the strategies. Okay. So I'll just say, just in few minutes, to just say a word to especially our representatives out there, just in about 1 minute, because they are the targets now.
Crucial, yes.
Yeah.
It's very simple. They have a responsibility to the people they represent. And before they even claim representation, they ought to have an idea of what the people want. That is why we are saying it's not necessary to start giving out rice and recharge cards for vote if you are truly representing the people. And the only way to truly represent the people is very simple. Listen to them. Listen to them. Based on what they want and what they say and their circumstances, you will now craft your actions. But when you don't have anything, that is when you think you can just buy this. And then in the process, you end up corrupting the system itself. So, and that is why we are saying to save ourselves, The Yoruba people must even now come up with what they want so that nobody will come and start giving them rights. It's even, anyway, let's go into that now. I was going to say it's even insulting, but let's leave that for another day. So if they are representatives,
yes,
they should be able to listen to what the people want. That is the first thing that's why they said all politics is local. If it is local, it means the condition in your society, in your locality,
yes.
determines your political activities. That's, so it's very simple. And we should be bold enough to tell them so. We are not fighting them, but
Yes.
we are telling them the truth. So.
All right. Thank you so much, Alagbafemi Odedeyi, for your time today and for the clarifications and discussion about Yoruba referendum activities or actions and thoughts regarding federalism in Nigeria. We will have you back by God's grace next Sunday. Our viewers, for those that are right on with us just now and those that will be watching later, thank you again. Please join us at 8 p.m. That is UK time. I think in Nigeria now it's about 9. Is that 9 p.m. And of course in the United States, would that be like, is that 2 or 3?
3 p.m. Eastern time.
3 p.m. Eastern time in the United States. Please share this program. That is the part that you can play as well. Share this program to others. Let them know what is happening. And let's get all hands on deck. Until next week, God bless.
Thank you. Thank you.